Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I wanted to share my new journal that I made for myself. This is the second one that I made with fabric. I had never done that before. I made one for my daughter and then I decided to make myself one. It was inspired by the Rebookery and Little Bindy, Johanna at Little Bindy. And I'm really excited about it. So the cover is vintage sheet and some linen, and I put a couple of buttons on the spine. I'd never fussed with buttons before. I actually had to have my husband kind of give me the rundown because I'd never sewn a button before, so that was fun. But the cover itself is a it was a like a what is it called, like a book that had cross stitching patterns in it, I think, like just a little piece of card book. But I'm hoping that this will be enough for all my summer journaling that I want to do, because I finished my spring journal, and yeah, so I'm going to be working on this one now. So this is just a scrap of a doily, or it wasn't a doily, maybe it was like a tablecloth almost for a little table. And it had some stains, but I'm not too worried about that. And I had just slipped this in there so that I can use it when I go to journal. And I stitched around the edges, and yeah, so I'll just hop right in. So I used a lot of scrapbooking papers and book pages. This is a pocket right here. Some ledger paper, and that flips up. This is a children's book page. This was a piece of paper from a cookbook. In the back it had this notes paper on it. The scrapbook paper is just a variety. A lot of basic gray and October afternoon papers. This is a antique receipt that I had. I have some. I really like to use them in my journals. I just feel like it gives it such an interesting look. Another book page and ledger paper. I live in Florida, so we do a lot of water activities during the summer. This is a card made out of scrapbook paper. Some matte paper. A pocket. I'm pretty sure this was basic gray paper. And the other part of that ledger paper, I have a bunch of this paper. It's like huge paper. Let me go grab it. Yeah, it's pretty ginormous. It's awesome. I love it. And I obviously trimmed it down, but this sheet had writing on it, which doesn't bother me because I will probably just cover it up anyways, and then journal on this side. So, and then this is a little bag from the 60s, I think, a little gift bag that I got on Etsy. And more children's paper. This is a little brown paper bag that I just stamped. So that's the first signature. I did 1, 2, 3, I did 4 signatures. So yeah, so because it's for me, when I journal, I like to add a whole bunch of stuff. So my journals get really, really chunky. So when I make a journal for myself, I like to leave it pretty bare because I know that I am going to chunk it up. So this is embroidery paper, more ledger paper, book page. This was I think it's from the 80s, if I remember correctly. I got it at a a thrift store. It was just a notepad, but I really like how it looked. A pocket here. This is a image from, I think it was an embroidery book magazine that I just cut out and used. This is one of my printables in my shop. I'm thinking I'm probably going to make it like a flip pocket eventually. In July, we always go on vacation to the river, and we take the river to the ocean and we look for scallops. And we do a lot of eating out and making meals at the house that we stay in with my in-laws. So I wanted to go ahead and put some pieces in here that I figured I would use when I go to journal about that. So yeah, so I was thinking I could use this as a flip pocket and, you know, like add another piece of paper to the back and then have it flip out. So I like it. So yeah, so this is in my Etsy shop, and I'll leave a link to my shop below. That's another one of my printables. So this section is obviously a lot about food, so that I can, when I was making it, I was thinking I would like to do some of our vacation meals in this area. So I went ahead and put that on there. These are pages from a cookbook. In the back of the cookbook, again, it had these recipe papers type stuff. That's another one of my printables. Some more ledger paper. I think this is Graphics 45. I'm not really sure how I feel about this paper. I was a little iffy about it. I really like this side. I love the seahorse, but the other stuff, I don't know. But you know, obviously it's in there for good now. This is another embroidery that I cut out of that same book. And it just flips open. I love this paper, so pretty. This is just a little flip pocket that I went ahead and did a little bit of decorating on. And this is a sewing pattern envelope, so it's a pocket up here. That's the other side of that embroidery. This is just a little piece that I clipped from a oil painting book, a vintage oil painting book. That's the second signature. This is the third. So yeah, so I knew that I wanted to do it, you know, water themed, summer themed, that kind of thing. And my youngest daughter, she loves horses, so I went ahead and threw that in there. And ice cream. Who doesn't like ice cream? And my husband, he makes pancakes all the time, and so I went ahead and threw that in there. And this was from a vintage recipe book as well. I think it was like from the 60s. This is Graphic 45 as well. Isn't that pretty? It's an older collection. This is just an envelope that I had made that I wasn't sure, that I kind of messed up on, but I didn't want to toss it. So I was like, well, I might still use it. So this is more Graphic 45 paper. I just stuck that in there so I can make a journaling card out of it later. This is just a antique piece of ephemera. There's more stamping there on this ledger paper. So this opens up like so. There's a little crab. This is the cover, the desk jacket, to a book that I absolutely love the images, and these books are just the sweetest things ever. So I don't know what I'll do with that. Maybe I'll glue these down and make it for pockets, or I don't know. We'll see. Some more writing paper. The other part of that pancake paper. I just glued this image on there. So yeah, so you can tell I like to keep it very, very bare because I know that I'm gonna add all kinds of pockets and pictures and whatever else to it. And it's gonna get really, really chunky. More ledger paper. But this was from like an old Ocean Life book. Some vintage purchase order paper. I love this paper. I think it's graphic 45 as well. Graph paper, book page, children's book page. This is music note paper. This is vintage wrapping paper, another envelope, and I just stuck this little cute little postcard in there. And I haven't sealed that envelope up, obviously. That was just a scrap piece of paper that I had. That's a book page image. This is a printable too in my shop. And some more book pages. This is some stationery, some vintage stationery that I had got a while ago, and I hadn't really used very much of it, so I figured I would clip it in there to make sure that I use some. And then in the back, I've just got just some pieces that I thought I might use, or I wanted to try to use up for 4th of July, some pieces that I might use. This is an image from that desk jacket, the same illustrator. Aren't they pretty? They're so cute, but I like this one because we do a lot of fishing when we go on vacation. And of course, you know, children are going to play. So, yeah. So that's that. And what I'm hoping that this won't, because there's so much room in here, I'm hoping that I can, you know, make it super chunky and be able to fit a bunch in here and it not, you know, not matter as much, because a lot of the times I'm pretty careful, or I try to be somewhat careful what I put in my journals because they get so incredibly chunky. So yeah, so that is the new journal that I made. I did make, like I said, I made one for my daughter, and I'll show you my spring journal real quick, how chunky it is. Like, I had to remove some signatures. I never put the last signature in on this book just because I was afraid that it was going to be chunky anyways, and I ended up having to remove 2 extra ones. So yeah, so I've got a video that shows a flip through of this book completed too on my channel. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.